So at this convent, it was Sister Maria that was in charge, and she got into trouble for being too, and I quote, worldly for religious life.
Oh, okay. She had her own thoughts.
She had her own thoughts, yeah. So the church didn't like the fact that she was pulling up to local churches to deliver communion hosts in a Mercedes-Benz while smoking a thin cigar.
Well, I have to ask just real quick, what is a communion host?
When they give communion? Or she was a communion host.
Oh,
so
she
gave.
was...
Yeah, sorry.
Ooh, the new communion host is a pimp. Welcome to the Compendium, an assembly of fascinating things, a weekly variety podcast that gives you just enough information to stand your ground at any social gathering.
We explore stories from the darker corners of true crime, the hidden gems of history, and the jaw-dropping deeds of extraordinary people.
I am Kyle Reese, your ringmaster for this week's episode.
And I'm Dolores Van Cartier, your nun on the run. Well, cabaret singer hiding in a nun.
Yeah, very apt. You're getting these nailed this week. All right, freaks, just so you know, we are officially off the air for the summer, but please do not worry, because in lieu of new episodes, we're revisiting some of our absolute best stories from Season 2 of the Compendium. Today's episode originally aired back in May of 2024, and it's not only one of our listener top picks, but actually, Adam, it's one of your personal favorites.
And yours.
Okay. I remember very little from this episode.
We should be doing the question to you.
No! This is my moment of power.
Okay.
So today on the Compendium, we are kicking off with our end-of-season highlights with what I'm calling an assembly of vows, Vatican loopholes, and veiled rebellion.
Very good.
Today, we're bringing you back the Nuns on the Run episode, which is just a wild ride. Adam, do you want to give us a bit of a teaser on what this story entails?
Yeah, it's about these nuns who go on the run.
Okay. You're so bad at this!
It's these nuns that feel a little hard done by the church, so they decide to take back some power. There's a little romance maybe in there.
Well, lesbian romance.
So you don't remember at all.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
They decide to take back some power. They piss off some guy in the Vatican who turned out to be like not a nice man. And yeah, they have a good time with, I can't remember what vehicles they had, but they bought some new vehicles. They couldn't drive them, but they bought them.
I hope there's no new listeners listening to this episode because your form is so bad.
What?
You barely remember anything.
I'm trying to just give it a little bit of a tease. I don't want us to...
Okay,
Don't want to spoil it.
Let's actually test what you remember from this episode with a little game of Who Wants to Be a Certified Freak?
I've got to win that keychain.
Adam, your categories today are, everybody should know this, the deep diver, and the expert. If you answer all three questions correctly, you will win yourself an exclusive Compendium keychain.
Yes, I've got this. It's my episode. I pretty much almost got the Menendez one right, so I think I can do today.
And why do you want this keychain so badly?
Because I want it dangling near my crotch.
Okay, let's play. All right, first up, everybody should know this. Adam, in what year did the 8 Belgian nuns go on the run from the church?
Oh, God.
Yeah, you got this.
Is it in the 90s? No, hang on. I think it was before the Sister Act movies came out because people said, was that inspired by this event? But it wasn't. But there's a misconception. So I'm going to go like 1990.
Is that your final answer?
That is my answer.
Well done!
Yes,
1990. After decades of service inside that 16th century Bruges convent, these 8 sisters decided to just break free and rewrite their own destiny, which I just live for.
It was set in Bruges?
It was Bruges, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was Bruges, bitch. And for context, this was actually the same year the Hubble telescope launched and Nelson Mandela walked free from prison.
I'm pretty sure that was my intro to the episode, was it not? You
So
just stole it from my episode.
No, I mean, I had to listen to the episode, some of it. Now,
It's like, that rings a bell. I'm pretty sure I said that.
Right, Adam, for question 2.
Okay.
If you nail this one, you earn the little title of Deep Dive. I don't know why in my mind that's dirty.
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it like that.
Can you tell me what legal loophole did the nuns exploit to sell the convent without Vatican approval?
Can I phone a friend?
No, I have no phone a friend soundbite.
I can't remember.
Oh.
That there was something that they found which meant that they could take ownership back from the church and then sell it.
Adam, I knew this one.
Oh, I don't remember this one.
I'm going to need an answer.
Oh, I don't know. Someone didn't sign the papers properly. I can't remember.
I can't remember your final answer.
Something about paperwork.
I'm going to give it to you. So, by using their status as an independent non-profit with amendable bylaws, Sister Anne and her followers quietly spent 18 months selling off artworks and antique relics and gold and all the different things to kind of fund their new lifestyle by changing the bylaws, which facilitated their ability to do all this. So, yeah, paperwork.
Wow, that was generic enough for me to win.
You did it. It was fine. So, Adam, final question.
Yeah.
You ready? This one is for the title of The Expert.
And the keychain.
And the keychain. Can you tell me, who was the convent's groundskeeper who helped Sister Anna set up a bank account and invest in ventures? And it's not groundskeeper Willie.
That's all I can think of.
What is that about?
All I can think of is a ginger man and a kilt. I don't have any answers.
I know why you think that.
I have no idea.
I'm going to need an answer.
Donald? I don't know.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
No, Adam, I'm so sorry. It was Ronnie Crabbe.
Ronnie Crabbe, he sounds like a criminal.
But there was a reason why we thought he was groundskeeper Willie. I think it's because Ronnie sounds like quite a Scottish name.
Yeah, Ronnie Crabbe, but he sounds like he should have, I don't know, robbed a train.
Yeah. Yeah, he does, actually.
Yeah.
So, of course, over their scheme, he helped them open up bank accounts. He helped them navigate the process of buying all sorts of investments like racehorses and farm investments. And basically, he became the secret financial architect behind their entire scheme, essentially. So, Adam, it's solid work. You got 2 out of 3.
Again.
No keychain for you this time, unfortunately. So maybe better luck next week.
I'm just a quadruple deep diver.
You are. Just I don't know why that sounds so dirty. But in all seriousness, this is the reason why we're bringing this one back. It's because it's one of the most unique stories we've ever told. And I love weird, quirky episodes, especially when it stars nuns or any women that are out there to kind of like stand their ground and just get what they deserve. It's just one for the ages. And this is one of them. It's part true crime, it's part heartwarming geriatric adventure all rolled into one. And it's just also been featured everywhere from true crime blogs to pop culture sites around the world, which makes this just a worthy contender for being one of our highlights in the series. So buckle up and enjoy the original audio from episode 60, Nuns on the Run. Take it away, Adam.
In today's episode of the Compendium, we are exploring how hell hath no fury like a Belgian nun scorned.
Hell hath no fury like a Belgian nun scorned.
Yeah.
Are we talking about nuns today?
We're talking about nuns.
Are we going to the Catholic Church?
We are, yeah. We're talking about
Ooh.
a group of nuns in Belgium that did some interesting but funny stuff.
Oh my God. This is a mainstream story, is it?
It is. We're diving into a tale that sounds like it is straight out of a 90s comedy heist movie, but it's all true, I assure you. The year is 1990, and it was a pretty significant year. NASA launched the Hubble Space Telescope. The Baltic states declared independence from the Soviet Union. Nelson Mandela was released from prison after 27 years. demolition of the Berlin Wall had started, and just as impressive as all those things, it's also the year that 8 nuns in a Belgian convent decided it's time to shake things up and go on the run.
What?
Yeah.
A run from where? Were they imprisoned?
Well, they're on the run from the church.
Scandalous.
Yes.
Did they drink too much communion wine? Is that what it was?
Well, they had been dedicating their lives to God for all those years and the church, following the rules, being good nuns, as good nuns should do. And they decide to do something so unexpected that they sell a bunch of valuable items, including the convent itself.
Do you mean they stole from the church?
Well, potato, potato. And what they do with that money, like anyone that comes into a bit of cash, they go on a good old-fashioned shopping spree.
Wow.
And one of those things is a castle in the south of France.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is a ride of a lifetime.
Yeah, it should be a fun one, this one.
Let's do it.
So our story today starts in Bruges in the late 1980s. Now, Bruges, for those who might not know, is this absolutely stunning city in Belgium. And it's like a postcard. Cobblestone streets, picturesque canals, and buildings that have been standing for centuries.
Have we been there?
We have been there. You
Have
remember?
we?
Yeah, that's where you got Stephanie the skull.
Oh, yes. So Stephanie is like some kind of bull head
Yeah.
skull that
And
we found with giant horns.
Giant horns, you found it, you bought it, and then we had to somehow take it back to the UK through like customs. And we're like, how are we going to get this through? Because those horns were weapons.
They were huge, weren't they?
You could use them to, I don't know, hurt someone.
Impale someone.
Yeah. But we got them through security, no problem.
We did. And now she hangs in our bedroom. So she is now completely painted black. She has no horns and she has a crown of red roses over her head. I think she looks great.
She looks good.
What a find.
What a find. But
anyway, carry on.
So Bruges has these ancient buildings, and one of them was a convent, which dates all the way back to the 1500s. Now, this wasn't just any convent, though. It was home to a group of nuns from the Order of Saint Clare, or as they're more commonly known as the Poor Clares. The order was founded earlier by Saint Clare of Assisi in 1212.
What a brilliant name.
Assisi.
Saint Clare of Assisi.
Assisi, yeah. She was one of the first women to write a set of guidelines, and her house rules were particularly strict, requiring extreme poverty, no property ownership, and total reliance on handouts from the local communities in which her convents were situated. Which I find it odd that someone would start this. This is how I want people to live. Extreme poverty.
Yeah, what if it takes a while for your convent to get off the ground and there's no handouts for like 6 months? What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Cece?
Assisi. Well, I don't know what she did, but this is what she started. She put this in motion, which lots of nuns would then begin to follow for centuries afterwards.
Right.
And so everyone within the Poor Clares since then had led a very minimalistic lifestyle. So owning a castle was most likely never on any of their nun wish lists. So imagine a life where you're dedicated to simplicity, that your daily routine involves a whole lot of prayer, you're scrubbing more floors than you can count, and meals that are far from gourmet. It's a lifestyle marked by extreme austerity.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. And living under such conditions, the Poor Clares also adhered to some pretty stringent vows, one of them being chastity, meaning no romantic relationships, and it's a life of rigorous discipline.
So are there any other priests living in the convent?
There's no priests in this convent.
So basically the rule is no lesbian nun sex.
Well, not that I'm aware of anyway, but it's interesting that you bring up priests, because on the contrary, they lead a very different lifestyle to nuns.
Oh, really?
So many folks believe that religious leaders, such as Catholic priests, take a vow of poverty, but actually they do not. Diocesan priests don't even make vows, they just make promises of chastity and
Isn't
obedience.
that the same thing? A promise and a vow?
Well, apparently they're different, is what I read.
I think they're the same thing.
So they make promises which they can break, whereas a vow you can't break.
But what about an unbreakable vow?
Well,
Because like an unbreakable vow is a vow that you can't break, but a vow you can break.
Well, they make...
What?
I don't know, but priests basically seem to get it easier than monks or nuns.
Of course. I mean, they're probably like white, straight, well, questionable. They're probably white men, so of course everything's easier for them, isn't it?
Exactly. And, they seem to retain some of the wealth of the church, while you've got these nuns that don't have a lot, relying on handouts. And then you got priests in probably, I don't know, designer Gucci robes or something.
Shit. No sex, no alcohol. They have nothing. They just got to scrub floors all day.
And do a lot of prayer.
And do a lot of prayer to some kind of straight white man. Of course they're going to rebel.
Why men were allowed something better, but then this woman came up with these rules in the first place. So we've got to blame Clara of Assisi.
Yeah, that's true. So you're saying that she didn't need to come up with these rules?
Well, I didn't dig into her life story, but she came with them.
I see. Okay.
The lifestyle of the Poor Clares is also one of extreme seclusion from the world. So outside their convent, they don't really leave it, to be honest. And they live by a rule that strictly prohibits personal ownership, and anything that they must rely on is solely from these donations. So the concept of working for personal gain is also off limits. There's no way for them to kind of get any luxuries and things like that. And so this was a way of life that, understandably, doesn't exactly appeal to the masses. And people wanting to join the Poor Clares dwindled significantly over time, especially as women began to experience greater independence and equality from like the 1960s and 70s. So by the late 1980s, the number of new nuns joining the order had plummeted to an all-time low.
That's the thing. Like, you take away any worldly pleasure and you're not going to really get many takers, really.
Not really. And that posed a significant dilemma for the church because strategic decisions had to be made regarding the placement of the few new nuns they did receive. And it was a delicate balancing act determining which convents would be getting new members to ensure their survival and which ones would inevitably face decline. And it was pretty crucial, not just for the continuation of the convents, but for who would be caring for the older nuns. Because if you didn't have a new young nun coming in and all you've got is a bunch of OAPs, who's going to look after them when they have a fall?
Sure, no, I get it. Fall. That's the thing. When you get older, you stop falling and you have falls.
Have a fall. And the thing is, if they're all 80, a fellow 80-year-old is not going to pick up another 80-year-old.
I mean, by the sounds of it, with as much as they're working, I doubt they're even getting to 80. They're probably like 45 and they're like, oh, my back. Oh.
Yeah, and the thing is, these nuns didn't have a spouse or a family to rely on easily. So they had to rely on each other to get them through their golden years.
Sure.
One of the sisters at the convent was a lady called Sister Anna. She was the Mother Superior. And during the mid to late 80s, she received some disheartening news, and that the bishop had decided that her convent wouldn't be receiving any new nuns, essentially signalling that it was on the chopping block. And this news didn't really sit well with Sister Anna, especially considering the state of her convent and everything that she had done. There's only 8 nuns remaining, and Sister Anna was actually the youngest at 61. And the situation was pretty bad because the oldest, Sister Agnes, she was 93. She faced significant health challenges, being deaf, blind, and immobile.
Shit.
So you can only imagine the kind of pressure Sister Anna was feeling, how she was going to be able to look after all these nuns, and especially if she's the youngest, it's going to be on her. And with no one coming in to replace her, then, what's going to happen when she needs help?
Sure, this is a classic survival story, man.
It is we like a survival story.
We do.
So she must have felt pretty betrayed by the church after all she'd given. And so the church authorities later did argue that there was simply not enough young women joining the sisterhood to maintain the convent, and that although the inhabitants of that convent were old, they could have lived there for as many years as they would have liked, and they could have moved on. But what would happen is once they had moved on, then the church would take back all the valuable items and the convent itself, and they would keep it.
I see.
And so the sisters maybe suspected that's what would happen, but they weren't happy with the fact that the church would get back all those goods if they're the ones that are looking after these relics and paintings and things like that. And so for them, they were like, well, actually, do we not have a say in any of this? So Sister Anna knew her options were limited, and moving to another convent was possible, but the thought of leaving her home, her sisters, and the life that she had in Bruges was far from ideal. Also, when she joined the church, she had to give up all her personal belongings and any inheritance she received from her family over the years. And the rules were pretty clear and strict on this, that she wasn't to own anything. So
she'd given everything up, and then they say, yeah, sorry, we don't have a place for you anymore. You've got to move on. And she doesn't get her shit back.
Yeah, you can imagine she being pissed at this, right?
Yeah.
Poor Sister Anna. So she's frustrated, and she does build a relationship with the convent's groundkeeper, who was 35 years old at the time.
The groundskeeper Willie.
No, his name's called Robbie Crabbe.
So groundskeeper Willie. That sounds like a very Scottish name.
I don't think he was Scottish. I don't know what his nationality was.
Robbie McCrabtree.
Ronnie Crabbe.
It's groundkeeper's Willie's cousin.
Okay, fine. So she confided in him what was happening and asked him for some advice or some suggestions on what she could do with her sisters. And Ronnie proved to be quite the resource, and he certainly thought outside the box. He didn't just offer advice and maybe like sell some items. He helped Sister Anna engage with the modern world, from setting up a bank account to even introducing her to the idea of investing in racehorses and even owning a farm.
Oh, slippery slope, man. Bank account, then the next thing you're gambling, and she's like, I like this.
Well, the thing is, Ronnie was actually all in on helping Sister Anna find a way to kind of improve her life.
Yeah, because he's like, do you know what? I'm an old man. I can't get a young woman anymore.
Well, he's 35.
There you go. I'm a young man. I really like old women. But you know what? It's really difficult to find an old virgin. And if I can get this woman just to slip up a little bit and like take a different road, I could even bag a whole convent of virgins. Old virgins.
No. As far as I'm aware, there's no...
Robbie McCrabtree. Oh, did I say that right?
That's Ronnie.
Oh, Ronnie.
You keep saying Ronnie.
I'm not listening, Adam. No, I'm joking.
Right. Anyway, as far as I'm aware, there's no romantic relationship between the two. But it was interesting, given that she was twice his age.
And twice as sexy. So he's 35, she's 61.
Yeah, they're an unlikely duo in that the fact that he is almost half of her age, but they strike up this relationship or friendship in order to get back at the church and help secure a better future, not only for Sister Anna, but also her other sisters. So he's a good guy. And he's probably taking a cut, but, everyone's winning at this, except maybe the church. They're not winning. Now, because the priests tended to keep their distance, they rarely visited or checked in any meaningful way, which was lucky for the convent as they could maintain their autonomy, which would allow Sister Anna to carry out her secret operation. And this was done over the course of 18 months. And to be clear, it did take some time to put into action, and Sister Anna was willing to play the long game while she discreetly sold off the convent's collection of artworks, antiques, relics, and gold, all sorts, in order to get the proceeds that she could then invest into other ventures. So now Sister Anna was very careful not to just reveal the plan straight away to her fellow sisters, because she knew that could risk them alerting the priests, and they still had a sense of duty that they had to the church. So during this 18 months, she had to subtly influence the mindset of her fellow nuns. And she shared her vision of a future that didn't include cold stone walls of the Bruges convent, a future that promised more than the rigid, monotonous life that she had led, or they'd all led under the church's strict guidelines.
But the thing is, though, I don't know how persuasive that's going to be by painting this picture of something different, because all of these women chose that. They chose this life.
I think they chose that life, but I think the fact that they're now being forgotten about is why they're like, okay, we need to do something about it. We can't rely on just the church anymore.
That's the persuasive thing for me, though, is the betrayal. Like, you've chosen this, you've given up all these things, and now you've been betrayed, or you've been forgot about, you've been sidelined, and no one's looking after you anymore.
I think for them, it's about gaining control and having some influence on their future, their destiny.
Sure, interesting.
So she tapped into this sort of shared sense of injustice amongst the nuns, and all of whom had endured these harsh winters in a building that never was meant for comfort. So the idea of this warm, comfortable retirement wasn't just appealing, it felt like a deserved reward for their years of service. And so with this shared sense of purpose, the nuns rallied behind Sister Anna's plan, with the exception of one of the sisters, Sister Clara, who does alert the church about some of the stuff that Sister Anna is up to. And she tries to suggest that Ronnie Crabbe is the man that's to blame, not just Sister Anna. But more on that later. We'll come back to Sister Clara. So Sister Anna, having laid the groundwork and secured the unanimous support of her nuns, she finds a location for a new beginning. And that is this majestic castle in the sunny and warmer climate of the south of France. And she announces her intention to place down a deposit on their future home from some of the sales and investments she had been making. Some describe this new castle as somewhat run down, but a castle all the same. But to secure the castle, there is one thing that they do have to work around. And so Sister Anna has discovered a legal loophole that would allow the ambitious plan to go ahead. Now, I don't know too much about legal jargon, but the convent operated as an independent non-profit. And so this status meant it had bylaws that could be amended by its members. So in this case, the nuns. And by reaching a unanimous decision, they altered these bylaws to permit the sale of the convent and the use of the money they make from the sale themselves. bypassing the need for Vatican approval. So what they're able to do is, because they all have a say in it, if they all agree mutually to this decision,
Sure.
they can basically choose what happens to that convent.
See, okay, so smart. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the Vatican had no idea that they suspected that these nuns would ever do that. And so they probably never thought...
What? Women? Women thinking for themselves?
Exactly.
They'd never do that.
Exactly that. Why would they think that these innocent nuns would ever look at this legal loophole and go against them?
Yeah.
Never would have suspected
But
it.
Anna's got a bank account, so meh.
Ronnie had sourced an agent that was able to secure a quick and lucrative turnaround with this major property development company. Before the bishop could even catch wind of their plan, the 600-year-old convent had been sold for the equivalent of around about £770,000, which might not seem like a lot in today's money. It'd be I think it'd be just over 2.2 million. But for them, it was important to do a quick, speedy sale before the Vatican could find out about what they were doing.
Gotta be quick.
Yeah, so the property company actually got the convent for basically a steal. That was a really good price.
So what are they going to do with the convent? You said they was bought up by a real estate developer. Are they going to turn them into houses or like...
I would have thought so. Convent flats sound quite appealing.
They should have turned it into like a seedy nightclub. That would have turned the Vatican furious, made them really angry. Or a strip club.
A brothel.
Nun-themed brothel. They come along and they're like, oh, all the nuns are turned into prostitutes. Sister Anna, oh no.
Where are all these new young nuns from? So with the convent sold, it was time for the sisters to make a trip to their new home. And whilst they may have had a removal van, they did not follow in a minibus or several cars. Oh no.
They caught the bus.
They caught the bus.
Did they?
No, they didn't. No.
Oh no.
They wanted something better than that, Kyle.
Okay.
They wanted to move forward with their lives. So they hired the only option that they could think of.
What? I don't know. An Uber?
A pink limousine.
Oh, of course.
Equipped with a full bar.
Oh, of course.
So they went down in style. But of course, poor Sister Agnes, she's blind, deaf, and immobile. She followed behind in an ambulance. Yeah, she needed a little extra help.
I'm holding on, guys.
So they weren't going to leave any nun behind.
No nun left behind.
And so arriving at their castle, which was equipped with a swimming pool and a tennis court,
God.
but it didn't have running water. So sounds kind of mixed in terms of quality.
Does. They haven't got their priorities straight.
Yeah.
Do you know what this castle needs? A jacuzzi.
How are we going to fill that jacuzzi?
Don't worry, we're nuns. We work all day, all night. We'll just come up with buckets and buckets of clean water.
We'll pray for rain.
Shut up, I gotta pray.
So yeah, that's why some people said it was a bit run down. But hey, it's a step up from the convent at least. It's got some tennis courts. And you can imagine them. They're soaking up the sun. They're having a cocktail. They're lounging around the pool. Maybe a spot of tennis on Tuesdays if their hip would allow it. So yeah, it's a really nice life, retirement home for them.
Sure.
Ronnie continued to give them financial advice, helping them acquire a fleet of 11 racehorses, 6 luxury cars, and even arranging for 3 of the nuns to have matching top-tier Mercedes, complete with car phones and TVs.
They're going all out.
Oh yes. I mean, I don't think nuns would have learnt how to drive. So they would have just been chauffeured around.
Yeah.
They're not doing donut rings.
I'm surprised they even know how to... What are they doing with these racehorses? Who's looking after them?
I don't know if they're just keeping them or whether they're loaning them out and getting into gambling, because it feels like they're all about making money. For me, they would race them, right?
Amazing.
So yeah. And so as much as we'd like to believe this is where their story ends, on a high note, in blissful freedom, living out their golden years, reality has a way of rearing its ugly head. But before we get into that, now's the time to take a quick break, and we will be back to talk about just how their plans were foiled.
I think it's a great opportunity. Let's do it.
Kyle, our Belgian nuns, they are living their best life in the south of France after successfully going on the run from the church.
Yep, drinking margaritas, praying for rain.
They're having a great old time, realizing you don't have to live a life of poverty and still be a good person of the church. Meanwhile, back in Belgium, the bishop, Reverend Roger Van Heer-Louis, completely disagrees. And he's feeling...
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's not so keen on this.
I don't like this.
He's feeling the sting of the sisters' departure, and the sale of the convent. So he seeks out legal advice, hoping to overturn the nuns' actions. Armed with Vatican attorneys, he aims to challenge the legality of the sale. But fortunately for Sister Anna and her fellow nuns, they did their research.
Yeah, she read the bylines, man.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
And their adherence to the legal guidelines protected their sale of the convent. So whilst that was valid, the church was like, well, we still don't agree.
And she's like, tough shit.
The bishop nor the Vatican weren't willing to let this go. And they probably felt like they were made to look stupid, which they did.
I mean, men, notoriously rich white men, hate that.
And in a bid to reclaim some element of control, because they needed to get one over, the bishop offered to buy the convent back for the same price the property developers had paid, and tried to kind of lure the nuns back, saying it will be better. And the nuns thought long and hard about the offer, I imagine for all but 5 seconds, and were like, nah, we're good. They've grown fond of their new life and saw no reason to return to their old and deprived ways. Equally, despite their new luxuries, Sister Anna said they had never felt closer to God than they had when they were in Bruges. It's funny what a little money will do.
Yeah, exactly. God's like, these chicks got money. I'm going to connect.
They essentially said that they still retained that devout sort of Christianity and everything like that. They just could do that in a castle.
Yeah, why not?
The bishop, Reverend Roger van Heerlouis, not ready to give up on that just yet, requested the return of the priceless artifacts and the heirlooms and the artworks that once sat in the convent.
They sold them all, haven't they?
Exactly. When he went to check, they were like, they stripped this place clean. There's nothing we can get back.
Who did you sell it to? There is a pawn shop on 7th Street, so maybe you should go check that out.
That. And so they couldn't get anything back. There was nothing there for them to reclaim. And that angered them even further, and they felt even more embarrassed. And whether the news of the sisters spread to other convents or whether the way the church was treating convents in general, not sure. But the church learnt of another incident nearby.
Oh, a domino effect.
Yeah, it's in a place called Newport, which
Newport?
is
You mean you said it weird. Do you just mean Newport?
No, not Newport in South Wales. There's a place in Belgium which looks like Newport, but maybe with a French accent. Newport.
Newport.
Newport. Anyway, their Mother Superior there had converted part of her convent into a luxury boutique hotel.
Oh, God. That's going to escalate pretty quickly. Before you know it, it's going to be a brothel.
Well, she needed to make some extra cash. And so it seemed like a wave of entrepreneurial spirit and defiance was sweeping through the ranks of the nuns in Belgium.
Yes, why not? They all got a bug. They're sick and tired of being treated like shit by the males of the Catholic Church who aren't giving, just aren't sharing the love.
All those priests in Gucci. I want a bit of that.
Preaching Gucci.
So at this convent, it was Sister Maria that was in charge, and she got into trouble for being too, and I quote, worldly for religious life.
Oh, okay. She had her own thoughts.
She had her own thoughts, yeah. The church did not like...
You made our nun stink!
So the church didn't like the fact that she was pulling up to local churches to deliver communion hosts in a Mercedes-Benz while smoking a thin cigar.
Well, I have to ask just real quick. What is a communion host?
When they give communion? Or she was a communion host.
Oh,
so
she
gave.
was...
Yeah, sorry.
Ooh. The new communion host is a pimp.
Yeah, just imagine her just doing like a wheelie, driving up and getting out in her high heels.
I've done it. Can I take home the extra wine? The wine that wasn't drunk. Thanks.
So she was facing a future with only 3 nuns left in her convent and no prospects of new members joining.
Mm-hmm.
So she took matters into her own hands. She prioritized her well-being and financial security, and she began producing and selling communion wafers as a savvy move to try and get a bit of extra cash.
But who's she selling the wafers to? The only customer for communion wafers is other churches.
Yeah, I guess that's what she was doing. She was going around saying, hey, you need some more wafers? I got some.
They're like, no, I'll just order from the church's catalogue. Now I'll do you a good price, though.
Yeah, I'll give you double. And not stopping there, Sister Maria expanded her entrepreneurial efforts by making guest appearances at various events and functions, a bit like a local celebrity on the party circuit.
Who's going to want her? Like, do you know what, guys? Great club opening. I think as I... Star attraction should be Sister Maria.
Yeah, and even people would want her to host their wedding as well. So she was
really wow.
Yeah, she was clearly a character. But her lifestyle choices eventually caught the attention of the church, and they obviously disapproved of that and wanted to demote her. But Sister Maria was like, "Nah, I'm not going anywhere." She also inherited a considerable amount of money from her uncle, which of course she was not supposed to keep given her vows as a nun. And so she then used that money to transform half of the convent into a boutique hotel, leveraging the same legal bylaws that had allowed the Poor Clares in Bruges to sell their convent. And so this move was intended to secure her retirement, essentially, because she spent all this money. She had completed the boutique hotel with Persian rugs, pink marble tiled bathrooms, a swimming pool, a gym, and she would charge a premium amount to stay the night.
Wow. How much was she charging? Do you know?
It was around about $400, I think it was, but I don't know if that was US dollars or Oz dollars. But anyway, that's quite a
Why would
lot.
it be Oz dollars?
I was looking at different reports from Australia and
Oh, I see. Okay, it's like, what's happening?
and I didn't fact check that.
Oh, okay. You just lifted this straight off someone else's research.
Yeah, it's a news article. But anyway, I think for $200 or $400,
sure,
it's still quite a lot for 1990s.
Yeah, 1990s money, man. It's good money.
Yeah. Sister Maria's new business venture gained a lot of media attention, and that added to the church's anger at the time. And because this happened at the same time as what was happening in Bruges, there's this narrative of Belgian nuns just going AWOL or up against the church and carving their own sort of future. This meant that Sister Maria had to go, and she was eventually given the sack. But newspapers were having a field day with this story, as well as the nuns from Bruges. In response to the media frenzy, the church found itself in a precarious position, trying to navigate the PR storm as best as possible. And so the bishop issued a statement expressing bafflement of the nuns' action and emphasizing the church's concern for their well-being over any material losses. He painted a picture to say that the church simply wanted its nuns back, safe within the confines of their Belgian home.
And if they could also just quickly bring back all that inheritance that they've gotten, and all the artifacts, then that'd be great as well.
And we can keep the boutique hotel going.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll earn some money from that. So you can imagine these nuns didn't want to return to a life of sparse meals and kneeling on hard wooden floors. You know, that wasn't quite as appealing as having morning cocktails with the pool boy. I don't know if that actually happened, but I hope it did. So the nuns living their new lives in France were quick to call out the hypocrisy of the church's statements. They pointed out that the church's readiness to abandon them in their old age, contradicting this sudden concern that they had for their welfare that they were trying to portray in the media. They were like, nah, that's not true. So to sidestep the bad impression the church could gain from vilifying the nuns, the church then spun a narrative that cast Ronnie Crabbe, the groundskeeper, as the scheming villain behind it all, using the information that Sister Clara, the sister that grasped on Sister Anna, they used her information to create this story and used to go after Ronnie. The church made it clear that it was Sister Anna, seen as the mastermind, and that she needed to be excluded from the church, while the others portrayed were just victims or were duped by Ronnie.
Innocent bystanders.
Yeah. And a delegation consisting of a judge, some police officers, and a journalist made their way to visit the nuns in the south of France. And their mission was to uncover the truth behind the church's allegations that the nuns were being held against their will. And what they found was entirely different.
Oh, God.
The nuns were thriving. They were far from duped or anything like that. They were loved their new lives. They were fully conscious and proud of their decisions they had made.
With it all like Madge from Benidorm, like on their little mobility scooters with a real like harsh tan in bikinis and their skin's all sagging. They've got a fag in their mouth and a gin and tonic in the other. And they're all drunk. And they're like playing bumper cars around the pool.
I hope so. I really do. So yeah, they could clearly see that, okay, these nuns weren't tricked. And the nuns owned their actions themselves. They're saying like, nope, don't think that we've been duped. We wanted this. And so they were like, the ball is squarely in the church's court because it's an opportunity for them to practice what they preach. They should forgive. They should have compassion. They should turn the other cheek. However, when faced with the decision on how to respond, the Vatican chose the path that seemed at odds with its teachings. Instead of offering forgiveness, they just went after Ronnie even further. And I'm going to tell you just how that played out right after this short break.
Great.
So, as I mentioned, the Vatican were going after Ronnie, saying he had committed forgery, theft, extortion, fraud, and even physical abuse, which of course were all big, massive lies. Caught in the legal battle, Ronnie was unjustly imprisoned for 39 days before he could post bail. Yeah. They arrested him initially. Meanwhile, the church wagered a smear campaign, branding him a dangerous criminal to justify their actions and maintain their narrative.
Eesh, the Catholic Church like a smear campaign, don't they?
They do indeed. So Ronnie's legal battles also impacted the nuns, whose financial accounts were frozen amidst the investigation. So all this money that they had accrued, they could no longer spend.
Man, how are they going to like get booze and skinny cigarettes?
Exactly. And so they're cut off from all these resources and uncertain when they're going to get access to their funds again. And that posed a huge problem. And because the legal proceedings were taking months and months to go through, they had no other choice but to sell their dream castle.
Oh, no.
A place that they'd called home for only a year. And so they had to return back to Belgium and rely on family members to help them initially.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is a real shame because I'm so gutted for these nuns because what they managed to pull off, I think, is ingenious.
Yeah, for sure. Like, how long did it take them to resell the castle? Because I'm surprised that's a quick thing. Like, you want to sell a castle, there's not many buyers for castles, right?
I guess not. And I don't know whether they had to take less for it or whatever it was. But either way, they managed, I think, to get some money and then they moved back home. But the thing is, they did this without breaking any laws, technically. But they only managed to enjoy a year's freedom.
Well, at least they had that, though.
They did.
Right?
Yeah, and I think, we can be happy about that.
So they all went back to Belgium, decided to move in with family members, or they still living together? They found a convent where they can still be together? What's the deal?
Well, first I'll cover what happened to Ronnie, because that kind of leads on to what happened to the rest of the nuns. So the trials surrounding Ronnie spanned over 5 years, actually.
Shit. And he stayed in jail this whole time?
He got released.
After 39 days.
Yeah, but was still battling against this and trying to clear his name. And it was a pretty grueling period for him. He was eventually acquitted of all charges in 1996. However, by that time, the narrative of the nuns had taken another turn, one of which a lot of them had returned to the church. They had no other choice, really. And I guess for them, they're at an old age. They didn't know any different, or most of their life had been with the church. Perhaps they didn't have much choice other than that.
Sure, yeah.
The solidarity they once shared with Ronnie, who had stood by them through their adventure, seemed to also disappear, which I thought was really quite sad. No one seemed to stand by him. But again, maybe the church influenced what they could or couldn't do if they were to return.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a shame, really, because it was because of him that they were able to find this freedom. They had the know-how, the freedom that they needed.
They wouldn't have been able to do it without him. And so he didn't hold back on his critique of the church's actions. He was obviously disappointed by the lack of the support that he had from the nuns. He said that he felt betrayed. He says it's all down to the church because it was the sisters who wanted a flotilla of luxury cars.
An actual flotilla for Mardi Gras Day.
It's them that wanted a farmhouse in the Pyrenees. So when the business turned sour for the sisters and the Bruges prosecutor's office, he basically was saying it was always the church that wanted to get back at him and make him the example. Ronnie has teased about the possibility of turning his and the nuns' story into a book and potentially a film starring Bette Midler and Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, hang on.
But that didn't come to fruition.
Oh, okay.
But Whoopi Goldberg was in Sister Act.
Yeah.
Yes. And you'd think, was this story inspired? Or did this inspire Sister Act? But apparently there is no news on that. Although I did find another nun, someone not related to this story, that Sister Act was inspired by.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who?
Another nun. It's a whole side story that I didn't have time to go into, but supposedly she was put into protection.
Sure.
And she then sent a script to producers, which then, or like a treatment for an idea in Hollywood, and they ignored it. Then 2 years later, Sister Act came out.
Right, okay.
But given this story, it feels like it should be a Sister Act movie.
100%.
Sister Act 3. There was talk that they were going to do it, but I don't know, it still hasn't happened yet. It's probably too late now. I think a lot of the cast has died.
I think, yeah, well, you can always get a new cast. I mean, then they've got finally the young nuns that they were needing. But it could be like Sister Act 3.
So in a final surprising twist, before Ronnie disappeared from the public eye for good, he did lead the public with a provocative claim about the personal lives of the nuns.
Oh no, he fucked them all.
I'm not saying that. He said that there was a lesbian love triangle.
Oh.
Within the convent.
I love a lesbian triangle.
And that Sister Clara was, the one that dobbed in Sister Anna, was actually dating Mother Superior Sister Anna. and was dumped by Anna for someone else. So she dobbed her into the church.
Really?
Yeah.
Scandalous. Scandalous.
She was a jealous lover. And yeah.
I mean, when there's no men around and like you don't have many options and you just spend all your time with other women, people want that connection. So there's no surprise that they fell in love.
There's nothing to confirm this, to be fair. This all came from Ronnie. And so we don't know if it was a jilted lover as the reason this all came crashing down. But it's interesting that Ronnie did come out with this.
Yeah.
Ronnie does say the nuns were given a new home, and with their living expenses under control of the church again, the nuns were effectively prisoners again. Worse still, they had to accept a representative of the bishop on the board of the trustees of their new home, who Ronnie implied was a spy for the authorities placed there to keep those naughty nuns in check.
Of course.
Couldn't let this happen again. The Bishop of Bruges did get some kind of comeuppance. He was discredited, but not as much as he should have been. In 2010, he was aged 73 at that point, and Roger van Heerlouis became the first European bishop to resign due to child abuse allegations.
Of course. Do you know what? I was literally going to say, do you know what? If you want to get back at him, just look into his past.
Yep.
I'm sure you will find some kind of misappropriation of young people.
It transpired that the Belgium's longest-serving bishop had abused his own nephew over a period of 13 years, and he was forced to resign because a friend of the nephew threatened to make the abuse public. He did acknowledge that he had, I hate this word, molested a boy in his close entourage, which is, I'm guessing is him admitting
What word
it.
don't you like? Entourage. You mean molest? What's wrong with molest?
It's a horrible word.
What's the better word?
It is what it is, but it just doesn't. It's not a nice word.
Okay.
It doesn't sound nice. It doesn't have nice meaning.
Oh, but you shouldn't be like, oh, let's make it a better word. Like, what's the better word for it?
Well,
I'm just curious to know. Would you like say, oh, like I don't know.
He frolicked with his nephew.
That's a bad word.
Yeah.
In this context.
Yeah. As the case unfolded, it became apparent that the church officials had warned about Van Heerlouis' abuse 25 years previously, but had taken no action and attempted to cover up the scandal.
Oh my God, it happened. You hear about this all the time where it's been reported a bunch of times. People know of it. People are aware, but they just brush it under the rug.
And the thing is, though, in Belgian law at the time, a sexual abuse victim could only lodge a criminal complaint up to 10 years after turning 18.
Oh.
And the victim in Van Heerlouis' case was 40 at the time that this came out. But because it came out so long after him being 18, i.e. greater than 10 years, the case was too old to basically charge the bishop with.
I mean, like, even if he can't be charged with it, it's still, it being public knowledge is probably enough, right? Because it's just going to be shunned by...
Well, he was forced to leave the church, take that resignation. And the Archbishop of Brussels made a public statement that Van Heerlouis' resignation marked an end to all these cover-ups. But within 2 months of that statement, more than 500 people, mostly men, claimed they had been abused by the church.
Why am I not surprised?
And then the thing is, these are priests or whatever. You've got all the nuns locked away in a convent.
One lesbian sex affair. And then with the men, there's 500 sexual abuse cases.
It's just...
At least with the nuns, it's consensual lesbianing.
That is a verb, is it?
Yeah, it's a new verb.
It's
just horrendous.
It is horrendous. And that kind of angers me. That's what's allowed to go on, but the women can't go and buy a castle.
I can't believe it's just so prevalent. It's just so strange, isn't it? That it's so prevalent.
Yeah, but let's end on the nuns.
Okay.
So Sister Agnes, she passes away. She's 93, so I don't think it took much.
You said that so positively, and then you go, so let's end with the nuns. Yeah, so Sister Agnes, she dead. What's that about?
Okay, but yeah, she's dead. But I don't know what happened to the other nuns. But the last bit's fun.
So let's end on what we know, just one of the nuns. Don't know what happened to the rest.
Hang on, I'm getting to the last bit.
Okay, the nice bit. There you go.
The nice bit, okay. So for Sister Anna, she does rekindle her friendship with Sister Clara, both having left the church. And she goes to join Sister Clara in a little farmhouse by a stream in Ardennes in France. And they get to enjoy their golden years together, perhaps as friends, or maybe as girlfriends.
I like to think as girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that is the story of how the poor Clare sisters jacked in the church and went on the run to the south of France.
I love it. I love it. This is a beautiful survival lesbian story, really.
Underneath it all.
Yeah, when you find someone that you love more than anything in the world, you will do whatever it takes to get your little farmhouse in France.
And so long as your lover hasn't pissed you off and gone off with someone else, that can happen.
Brilliant. I can't believe this isn't a film.
Yeah, it really should be. Apparently there was a Belgian TV show, which I read about, but I couldn't find the name of. Apparently it was reviewed pretty badly.
I have a brilliant name for it, though, if they're going to make a TV show of it.
Go on.
The Last of the Communion Wine.
As in like Last of the Summer.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be. Yeah. Well, shall we run the outro?
Yeah, let's do it.
And so we come to the end of another episode of the Compendium, an assembly of fascinating and intriguing things. If you found today's episode both fascinating and intriguing, then please subscribe and leave us a review. And don't just stop there, schedule your episodes to download automatically. Doing this not only ensures you're always in the loop, but also boosts our visibility, helping us to serve you even more captivating tales straight to your ears. You can follow us on Instagram at The Compendium Podcast or visit our home on the web at thecompendiumpodcast.com. We release new episodes every Tuesday, and so until then, remember, from Bruges' cold stones to sunny French chateaux, the pursuit of a better life can turn the unimaginable into reality.
Aw, that's nice.
Until next week, see ya.
See you later.
Sorry, I thought you were going to do see ya.
Oh, I see. No, I don't. We don't finish each other's sandwiches.
So we
don't finish each other's sentences either.
Fine.
See you next week.